We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
You have fun. Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you.
Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy New Year on this, I don't even know, crazy rainy day. Very crazy rainy day, January 3rd, and it is pouring down the rain and we have thunderstorms. So go figure. But we have a special guest here in the studio today, and then our good friend Pete Wilson will be by to do a little news recap as well. So could you introduce yourself?
My name is Sandy Smith. Myself and my husband, Sam Smith, pretty much own or run the Herds of Hope. We're a 501c nonprofit organization that works with kids that we try to use miniature animals, farm animals, because they calm kids down.
Sure.
The pandemic almost did us in, so we're very short on animals at the moment, but we do so many other things. I mean, we do cooking classes, we do self-improvement and self-defense and all kinds of things. We're going to have a snowball. One of our big fundraising events is our snowflake ball.
Oh, fun.
It is. It's where the kids can get dressed up. It's formal, semi-formal. It's for adults and kids. It's a family affair.
Okay.
It's everybody's excuse to get dressed up, but you don't have to. Last year, this is our second one we've had. We've tried to scale it up a little bit this year. We're going to be at the Park's Edge, and but you don't have to. You can wear jeans if you want to, or you can use it as the excuse to get you a nice fancy dress.
Okay,
which is what I'm doing.
That sounds good to me. So, how did Herds of Hope come to be?
It started when we bought a farm that had this humongous barn on it.
Okay.
And about 12 years ago. And it was like, okay, we sat in for 2 years and looked at that empty barn and tried to figure out what we were going to do with it. And I've always liked the little animals.
Okay.
So we just kind of decided it. We just kind of went into it and started gathering up little animals. And people were stopping by and wanting to see them. And so in the end, we thought, well, we'll just do something a little organized. And we would do something like breakfast with the animals was one of our first things.
Oh.
And we would have kids. And everything we do, other than our fundraisers, 90% of what we do is all free to the public. Like breakfast with the animals, they would come to the barn. In the beginning, they would create some kind of breakfast dish for the animal with oats and grain and things. And then they would get to feed the animals.
That.
And then we would feed them. We would have a big breakfast right there in the barn for them. And they'd do a craft. And it's not it's only an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah. But they seem to really enjoy the animals.
Sure.
From that, we had people that wanted to expand it. They liked what we were doing. And we now have a court. We have a pageant, and the kids get to ride the float and go into the parades. We actually have 2 portions. One is the court, and one is what we call a barn crew. And we're just basically restarting that after the pandemic this coming spring.
Sure.
And that's kids that don't want to have anything to do with being a queen or a king.
Yeah.
They just want to be with the animals.
Love that.
So they're the barn crew. They get to do everything other than the parades and pageants and luncheons. They get to do everything else. We usually have an annual swimming party. We do community service. We go out to Lake Alma. This Christmas, they made Christmas cards for one of the nursing homes in Wellston.
Aww.
And they did that at their Christmas party. And then they went to the nursing home the following week or 2 weeks after that. And so we get together as often as we can.
Okay.
One of the things that we're trying to raise money for with the snowflake ball is that we want to start a play group, is what we're going to call it, for toddlers that maybe are on the slower learning scale, mild autistic, something where part of their problem, from what I understand, is communicating with other people.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so we want to create an atmosphere. And we have this huge rec room that we end up using for a lot of our functions. And we want to get the appropriate toys. And even if it's just simple things like putting blocks together and things. We want to make sure that we have enough of those so that we can get referrals to come and just let them play for an hour, hour and a half.
Love that. That's so fun.
It is. We have a ball. It's a lot of work sometimes, but we have fun.
Well, very good. So, Sandy, tell us how the snowflake ball, whose idea was that?
That was mine because I wanted a white velvet dress.
I needed an excuse to dress up. This is all self-serving. No, I'm just kidding.
But I still haven't gotten one.
Oh.
But I've just always been intrigued by having a ball.
Okay.
And the girls, of course, are queens and princesses. They're all for it. And moms were like, yeah, we can get dressed up. So last year we did it at the municipal building. And it went over fairly well.
Great.
So we thought, but we worked so hard because we did the catering ourselves. We did everything ourselves.
Oh, my goodness.
So this year we've got Hot Stuff Catering out of Portsmouth that's going to cater.
Wonderful.
They're actually going to give away 2 dinners for 4 as door prizes. We're going to give 2 of those away that they have donated to us.
Wow.
Katrina's DJ is going to be there so that we can dance.
Okay.
And the kids all love that.
In your dress?
And I still haven't got my dress. And then we're going to do a adult queen and princess. It's going to be the snowflake queen and princess.
Okay.
What we're going to do is people can collect donations ahead of time.
Gotcha.
We hope to put them like in a jar on a stage and with their name on it. And then during the ball itself, people can add to it. And the 2 people that collect the most money for donations receive the crowns.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to do for that. We're going to have some door prizes. It's from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
Okay.
With dinner being at 5. Dinner is going to be slow roasted beef and baked chicken, along with the sides.
Nice.
We're going to have a dessert auction. We're trying to get all of you local bakers that would like to have your name out there a little bit more to donate a specific one of your specialties, dessert, that we will then auction off at the ball.
All right.
So anybody that would like to do that, just please contact one of the names on a flyer that you should find a flyer. We're trying to get them out everywhere.
Gotcha.
Or myself, where Herds of Hope has their own flyer Facebook page. You can contact me, Sandy Smith, any of our board members, Sierra Dickerson, Angel Thompson, Emily Janey, Brandy Irvin. They're all board members, and all will be willing to help you figure out what it is you need to do.
Okay.
Tickets, adults that are 13 and over are $25. Children from 4 to 12 are $15. And anybody 3 and under is free. If you have 8 paying tickets, you get 1 free. So you can get a whole table together. You could have 10 people there and only pay for 9, or have 8 people there and pay, and that includes children.
Okay.
So in a combination of adults and children, 8 tickets get you a free dinner.
That's wonderful.
So hopefully we will fill it up. We have space for 150 or more, and they're promising us a good time. So the DJ, I've been told, is wonderful. And
I have no doubt.
I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
This is such a wonderful thing that you're doing. And, January is kind of a ick month, right? You know,
Yeah.
and we were just talking about that off the air. It's kind of depressing, and the holidays are over and all of that. So this is something that you could look forward to. It's January 21st.
Yes.
You can get all dressed up if you like, and just come out and have a good time. And Park's Edge is a wonderful venue.
Yes. It's
So-
very pretty.
Yes. James, did you have something?
No, you guys are doing a great job.
Oh, I thought he was going to talk.
No, sorry.
Oh shoot. We're so this is so great. So let's talk about some of the other classes and things that you offer while you're here.
Okay. Well, typically in, I think it's March or April, we do a cooking class where we have somebody come in that has like a specialty. One year we did homemade noodles, and we taught the
Ooh.
kids to prepare those and a whole meal that goes with it. Then we actually invite either the veterans and first responders, the police and the fire department, to come in and have a free dinner or lunch. We usually do it at lunchtime. Sometimes, I think last year we did barbecued chicken, and they learned how to make barbecue sauce from scratch.
Awesome.
So, and then again, we always invite somebody, a group in
To feed them,
for
right?
dinner. Yeah, we got to do something.
you
with
got to
this food.
eat it all, right?
We've done self-defense classes where we go to the YMCA and they're taught specific moves that are easy for them to do. We do the breakfast in the barn, breakfast with the animals. We hopefully will do it this year. A lot of our stuff, because of the pandemic, really got stopped.
Yeah.
We were going to close down, honestly. And it just became, we had kids that came to my husband, who's a softie, and said, you can't, we want to do this. And he gave in. And so that started again late last year.
Gotcha.
So we're really only back into it a year, and we're trying to get things. We lost all our funding, all our donations and
Sure.
everything. So we've been kind of doing this little at a time, trying to do things, grow as we can back to, doing it, more things. We really want to get this toddler group started so that we have, and the kids have an outlet just to play together.
Yes.
We've had a couple success stories where kids that might not have been able to get over an incident or something have just turned around and
Great.
become more productive, become easier to live with and to deal with. Sometimes they have so much depression or something. We are not professionals by any means. I try to get advice from
Yeah.
professionals, but we're mostly just giving the kids an outlet for away from their normal day-to-day life.
Makes
And
sense.
that means they get to play with the animals or they get to play with each other. They love our pool party and barbecue, our Christmas party, doing the floats and the parades and things where they help decorate. We were just donated a float by Westview,
Oh,
one of their old
great.
floats. And we're in the process of trying to get it remodeled and used so that come this spring, we can hold more of the kids.
Wonderful.
Yeah, because right now the barn crew kids don't actually get to go on the floats. Some of them really don't want to, but there really isn't room on our current one.
Mhm.
So with the new one, they'll actually get to play on the float or be on the float. We also want to take maybe like one of the baby goats or something in there so that the other kids in the parade can pet it and things like that.
Yeah.
But they come out, they try to, when we have barn cleanup days, they'll clean cobwebs out and they will help clean barns and the stalls, and they will brush animals and feed them, of course. We were having,
And I'm sure the animals just hate that as well.
yeah, yeah. Our
All-
animals are
all the
like
pampering.
people-fied. They think they're people, I think. We used to work with Buckeye Community, actually, and we had an adult pageant for them, a mock pageant type thing,
Yeah.
for them for several years. I'm hoping we get to do that again this
That
year.
would be great.
And they were coming out once a month to the barn. And of course, they want to feel useful too. So
Sure.
they would be the ones that would go around and clean the cobwebs off. And it would help us. It would take time, the time that we didn't have to spend
Yeah.
doing that. They were helping. So they were a tremendous help to us.
Yes.
And they'd be there for an hour or so. And then they'd have a snack or something. And then they would go back to the center.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and I hope we get to start that again this summer.
Yeah, me too. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's win-win for everybody, right?
We try.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that's why it's so important for you all to get out and attend the Snowflake Ball and have a good time. Like
Yeah.
I said, January's, icky.
It is. And the
So-
last one we had was was at the beginning of December, and we just felt that everything was too mushed together. It was too much with Christmas and
Yeah.
everything coming. So we think that this will be a good date.
Yeah.
It's after Christmas and New Year's, before Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
Give something for people to do and to look forward to.
Very good. So once again, could you give us all of the details on the ball and how people can get tickets and all that?
It's going to be held at Park's Edge. It's on January 21st from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. It will be catered by Hot Stuff Catering, having baked chicken and slow roasted beef and all the fixings
Woo-hoo.
that go with it. Katrina is going to be the DJ. Then we're going to have a dessert auction and lots of dancing, of course. It's formal or semi-formal, but you can come in jeans too. We don't want anybody to think they have to
That's
dress
right.
up, but it's a good reason to get a dress. Then we're going to actually have a snowflake queen and princess, determined by the amount of donations that each person brings in. They will be awarded the crown, the top two. Don't know.
Just a
We're looking
fun
for
night.
donations for door prizes. We're looking for donations of baked goods. The tickets are $25 a piece, which includes dinner and dancing and the chance at door prizes. For adults, 4 to 12 years old is $15. $3 and under is free. If you purchase 8 tickets, adults or children, you get 1 seat free, 1 ticket free.
Yeah, so pull everybody together.
And you can contact anybody at Herds of Hope. We're all over Facebook right now. Everybody's trying to share it. There's flyers up in all different places. Do you want them to give me? You want me to give them my phone number?
Hey, the chair is yours. If you're brave enough to do it, go for it.
I'm Sandy Smith.
Oh,
and my
there it is. James put it up there. So
Yay! So it's 740-412-2958. If I don't answer, leave a message. I will get back in touch with you, I promise.
there you go. And so you can call Sandy or one of the gang there and find out all about the dance and Herds of Hope as well.
Yes,
And how to get involved.
right, exactly.
And of course, you wouldn't turn away any donations, correct?
Any donations, any volunteer help is always welcome.
That's exactly right. Well, Sandy, it's been a pleasure talking with you
Thank
this
you.
morning. And if you have anything else coming up, let us know.
I will. Thank
Stop
you very
back and
much.
see us. All right. Very good. And our friend Pete Wilson's here in the house, so we'll get everyone switched out. And while we're doing that, we're going to go over this crazy, crazy weather forecast. So for today, Tuesday, January 3rd, so it looks like rain in the forecast. I've heard 2 things. I've heard all day, and I've heard it's going to move out after this morning. So I'm not sure what it's going to do. But highs today of 69 degrees on January 3rd. Go figure. Come on over, Pete. Lows down to 56. Tomorrow, Wednesday, some rain in the forecast once again. Highs of 64, lows of 39. And then on Thursday, looking a bit cooler, but still pretty good for this time of the year. Highs around 49 and lows of 32. And I see a little sun up there. A little sun, that is. So, yeah.
Okay, well, as long as we're not below freezing, I'll take the clouds, all right?
You know, you
okay with
are correct on that. That negative stuff is for the birds.
Right, yeah. I just talked with, speaking of the weather, we had that siege there right before Christmas where we had that horribly
Yes.
cold weather. It was cold everywhere.
Yes.
And Joel Walton, who is one of our crack sales team guys, he was able to spend the Christmas vacation in Florida.
Uh-huh.
And down there, it got down to 49 in southern Florida. And he says the natives were going wild.
It was crazy. And I, too, was in
You
Florida.
had people looking to buy toboggans and everything.
It was horrible. On Christmas Day, we were down there. And, it was a 45 where I was. And people were flipping out. They didn't, they didn't have anything. They don't have gloves and all that stuff. So, Jamie and I run around with flip flops at 45 degrees. But
Well, I remember one Christmas vacation. This has been 2 or 3 years ago. I was in the New Orleans area on a cruise on the river, and they had St. Francisville, Louisiana, which is not far from New Orleans, for the first time in 2 years, had a coating of snow, and they closed the schools that day. I mean, it was not even an inch.
It's all relative. It's what you're used to.
It is. I'm told that in Alaska, where, that's a different kind of winter weather, they will never close for snow. They will close for extreme cold.
Cold. Yeah. I could see that.
Which they get to.
Yes. A little bit. Yes. So did you have a wonderful Christmas break there, Pete?
Oh, it was very nice. Even though, I worked through it, no vacation there for me.
Not for this guy.
But what I'm saying is it's different, though. The mood is different. Some people are off. Things aren't, there's not as many things happening because all the Christmas stuff is So it's a different atmosphere. People are in a good mood. They're celebrating Christmas. They're celebrating New Year's. And so it's always nice whether you're working or not. So yes, it was very nice.
Very good.
Right.
Very
not
good.
not exciting, but nice. All right.
Very good. Crazy stuff happened in the football game last night. Were you watching that?
Well, I was monitoring I was monitoring on the internet because we were watching something else on television. I was very aware that the Bengals and the Bills had a big game, so I was kind of paying attention, ready to switch to it if it got real exciting or whatever. And then I noticed that it was 7-3 Bengals, and it stayed on 5:58 to go in the first quarter. I said, well, I wonder what's holding up the game. It's not storming outside or anything, and I wondered if there was an electric outage in the stadium or something goofy like that. And
no, it was way worse than that.
It was. And then, of course, I switched over there, and I tell you what, it's just something that you don't expect to see when you're doing escapist watching of a football game.
Sure.
Just add what everybody else has already said. You hope that 23-year-old young man from the Bills is able to survive. He is clinically alive right now in critical condition, and I'm sure they're monitoring his condition. And let's hope that he is able to survive.
You don't understand. Kid in wonderful health makes a textbook tackle, and Jamie and I were watching the game, and I heard, and Jamie said, he's like down, and then you can tell when you're watching it and someone's just down, and then you can tell when it's real bad because people start scrambling and whatever, and we knew it was really
really
bad
makes
at
you
that
think
point.
about contact sports, not just football, but any contact sport, because when I was surfing trying to get more information and following up late last night, I saw a couple articles on there where the cardiologists were weighing in on it, and they're saying that if you have an impact, even if it's not real violent, if you have an impact in the right place at the right millisecond, that can happen to anybody.
That's what I was wondering, if a young man went into cardiac arrest on the field, made a tackle, stood up, and then heart stopped, and it was the scariest thing ever.
Right,
and I wondered if it was possible that some kind of contact,
some kind of electrical type thing in the system. It may not have been some defect in him. It might have just been a fluke. Quirk that long shot that anything like that could ever happen to anybody, but it did last night.
Happen in Little League with some of when the kids. That's why they wear the chest protectors now, because a couple of kids got hit with a baseball in the chest and it killed them.
Right. No, it
stopped their hearts.
Yeah, it certainly has happened. This is with a big crowd and probably a huge TV audience on a holiday night. So in a big football game anyway, regardless of the tragedy part of it. So it just brings home again the fragility of the life that we have.
Absolutely. And just thought we would mention that, because it's just a scary thing to watch.
Well, everybody has heard about it, and it's just numbing. It is so numbing.
Yeah, it is. So, anywho, what's going on in the news here locally, Pete?
Okay, well, we were covering news while you were down in Florida.
I know.
And there was stuff. All right. It
Stuff
wasn't,
happened.
we weren't tapping on the desk waiting for something to happen. It's just
never do.
It's the character of news. You never know. You just hope that you can find out about it and report it and get it out there so everybody else can know what you have found out. But probably one of the lead things that we want to talk about, we talked about the fragility of life.
Yes.
And of course, back on December the 23rd, Blake D. Rogers, a 22-year-old young man from Piketon, Ohio, that is his picture right there that James just put up. He was working with the Buckeye Rural Electric Cooperative Company, restoring power on Friday the 23rd in the wake of, this cold snap that hit the night before that resulted in some scattered, multiple but scattered electric outages all throughout southeastern Ohio, including Lawrence County. Well, Blake was working on Friday morning just outside of Pedro. If you know where that is, it's on State Route 93 after you get into Lawrence County as you're heading down towards Ironton, restoring power there. And there was what BREC termed an electric connection incident, which obviously means, that Blake was electrocuted while he was trying to restore power there. Only 22 years old. It's something that all America doesn't know about, but we know about it in our area. It's just like what happened to the football player last night.
It's one of our own local folks.
Right, exactly. And of course, that accident is under investigation or whatever, but it just brings home, once again, how quickly some things can happen that are horrible and tragic. And this was certainly one of them. And it also should underscore our respect for those electric linemen that go out and all emergency responders that go out after services are restored into the elements and into situations through electric linemen where, obviously they're reconnecting power and there is that inherent danger of an accident.
I've often teased some of the guys that work, at the city here, saying, y'all are crazy doing what you do. We appreciate you, but y'all have lost your minds.
Well, you just better be careful the whole time because you can't afford to make a little misstep could mean your life. Honestly, when you're dealing with live power. But Blake Rogers, just as Ryan Foster, the EMS paramedic, several weeks ago, he was given and his family was given a tremendous tribute on the day of his funeral and his funeral escort, which was on
look at that,
which was on December the 29th. And this is a video that our own Jeremiah Shaver did. We heard about this just before it happened, and he was able to get down there on 93, just south of town. This is where a bunch of electric line trucks put their tops up there, their lifts that they have arched over the road, just like the fire trucks do, the ladders. We've seen that before. We saw that with the Ryan Foster thing. I've never seen it with the electric trucks. And it wasn't just BREC linemen. It was linemen from AEP Ohio, from the city of Jackson. I understand they even came from out of state because there is a brotherhood there because they all know it could have been them.
Yes, absolutely.
And they came with their electric trucks. There was also quite a few of emergency trucks, including electric trucks that were in the funeral procession. The funeral, he was living in Piketon. The funeral was in Waverly, and so it came over on the Appalachian Highway on 32, turned on 93, and this is where the Arch of Honor, I guess you could call it, was placed. He was buried in the Franklin Township Cemetery there on Franklin Valley Road.
Okay.
And so that was his place of burial. I understand on Family Connections, Brandon Hale is his father, and he is either from Oak Hill or has Oak Hill connections.
I see.
So, in addition to the fact that he was working in the area, and county lines don't mean anything when you have an incident like that, there is at least that one local family connection. And, that once again was on Friday, December 30th, where that happened. We are going to have, we already have some coverage online on our website, and we are going to have some more coverage in our print edition that will be coming out tomorrow.
Wow.
There is if people feel moved to support the family,
Yeah.
they are accepting donations to the Blake Rogers Memorial Fund, which has been established by Atomic Credit Union.
Okay.
So Atomic Credit Union has outlets all over the area, including
Yes.
here in Jackson County. He worked out of Gallia County, and he was living in Pike County, so he knew a lot of people. Blake Rogers did in our area. So very, very sad story there, but it is still, I think, on the back end, just as it was with Ryan Foster, so touching that all the professionals wanted to come together and honor him and support his family.
Yes.
As he was on the day of his funeral and burial. I mean, I think in my mind that always means a lot if you're the family, that many people care and they want to show it.
It's a horrible experience, but wonderful that people show up like that.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Okay, another big story that broke. It's an important story, and I think it was kind of unexpected based on what I have been able to do some talking to some people. And that was that our veteran Jackson County prosecuting attorney, Justin Levitt, submitted his resignation last week. He did it in a letter that was dated December 26th. It became public on December the 29th at the Jackson County Commissioners meeting. Mr. Levitt came to the commissioners meeting, spoke with them in executive session. After the executive session, he turned in a letter to the commissioners and to the Board of Elections, which is right there in the same building now, announcing his resignation effective January the 6th. That's this coming Friday.
Yes.
Justin Levitt, there he is right there. He has been our prosecuting attorney here in Jackson County since 2013. Elected in 2012, elected in 2016 to a second term, and then to a third term in 2020. He was halfway through that third term, and so that position is open now. And because Justin Levitt was elected as a Republican, the Republican Party, the committee, the Central Committee, will be meeting soon to pick a person to be the prosecuting attorney through the remainder of the term. There will be an officer in charge until that happens, because someone has to be in charge there. We'll get to that in a minute, but of course everybody's saying, what is Justin Levitt going to do? Why did he leave? Well, he put out a letter, and I talked to him after. He did not really want to expand on what was in the letter, but in the letter, he basically said that he had been offered a job in state government and that he, after much consideration, he had decided to take it. We don't know what agency of state government. We don't know what job in state government in that agency will be or when it will start.
Okay.
But we do know that he will be leaving on January 6th. He did indicate to me that later on, when he feels the time is appropriate, he will say, where he is going and what he will be doing. He did thank, he did thank Jackson County and everybody who supported him and showed him the faith and elected him to be prosecutor. He appreciated all that. Justin graduated from Oak Hill High School a number of years ago and has lived mostly in the Oak Hill area since then. And don't know whether he'll be moving to Columbus or not, but we know that he will be working in state government. That story also has already been in the paper, and it's online as well. If you were in Florida or whatever and you're trying to catch up.
Well, so what you're saying is so you never know when things like this happen, how the person is replaced is a bad word. I don't know, but replaced. So you're saying the Republican Party would choose somebody and appoint them.
The Central Committee. There's people that get actually elected or appointed, one or the other. They're supposed to be elected, but sometimes the party has to appoint somebody if nobody runs. They're called committee spots, Central Committee spots.
Okay.
There's also Executive Committee, which includes some people on the Central Committee, but also some others as well. It's complicated, but it comes up.
It's politics. It's complicated.
It comes up every now and then publicly when a person needs to be appointed or whatever.
Sure.
But because the party has to schedule a meeting, which they have. I'll get to that in a minute. There's going to be a period between January 6th and when the person is appointed to fill the unexpired term. There has to be somebody in charge, I understand.
Yes.
So at that at the next day, on the 30th, the commissioners called an emergency meeting for one order of business, and that was to appoint what they called an acting officer who will serve only until the Republican Party picks somebody to fill the unexpired term. The unexpired term will run through 2023 and then all of 2024. The prosecutor's position will be on the ballot as normal in 2024, one of many county offices that will be on the ballot. But the person who was picked to be the officer in charge was Colleen Williams. Now, Colleen Williams has been an assistant prosecuting attorney in Justin Levitt's office for a period of time. She came to that emergency meeting and she was willing to say, you know, I'm willing to do this if you want me to do it. She made it very clear that she does not want to be the person appointed by the party to serve the rest of the unexpired term. She's not interested in doing that.
I'll help out while I have to.
Because she's worked in the office and is familiar with the cases and all like that, so that makes sense. But also, even if she was, she couldn't unless she would move because she lives in Meigs County. And of course, you have to be a Jackson County resident. Now, I suppose she could move if she wanted to, but that is not her wish.
Gotcha.
Now, there was two other gentlemen that showed up at that meeting along with Colleen. I'm sure they weren't sure how it was going to work, but they wanted the commissioners and anyone else to know that they were interested in the appointment. Okay, one of them was Randy Dupree, who is currently an assistant prosecuting attorney in Gallia County. I think he is anyway. He has been, and he is certainly the current Wellston City law director. He formerly worked in the past under Justin Levitt as an assistant prosecuting attorney before he took the job in Gallia County.
Okay.
So we know he was interested in being named the acting officer, and he, I assume, will be certainly interested in the appointment for the rest of the term. Also at that meeting, expressing interest in being prosecutor was Gene Meadows. Gene Meadows ran against Justin Levitt in the 2020 election as a Republican candidate. Justin Levitt did prevail there. And so Gene Meadows, who does a lot of defense work in Jackson County. He now, I believe, has an office here in Jackson. He lives in Wellston. He will almost likely also be a candidate when the Republican Party picks somebody for that job. And there could be others too, but both Randy Dupree and Gene Meadows came to the meeting to express interest, even in the acting officer position.
Randy Dupree ran for something not too long ago.
Yes,
What did he run?
He ran for probate juvenile judge. In 2022.
Okay, I knew it
against Justin Skaggs.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
All right.
And Justin Skaggs was elected to a 6-year term, replacing Judge Stephen Michael, who of course had that position for a long time. So Randy Dupree has had his name on the ballot before for another position, and of course so is Gene Meadows because he ran for prosecutor the last time. Now, getting to that meeting that we talked about, it has already been scheduled. They didn't want to let any grass grow under their feet.
Sure.
On January the 13th, that is a week from this Friday, at the Jackson County Republican headquarters, that is the former American Legion building at 185 Morton Street.
Out on Morton Street.
There will be a meeting at 6:30 p.m. And one of the purposes of that meeting is for the Central Committee to fill the vacancy left by Justin Levitt's resignation. And then that person will step in and replace Colleen Williams, who will be a very short-term acting officer. Any qualified person interested in being considered for the vacancy should mail a letter of intent and their resume postmarked no later than Thursday, January 12th to the Jackson County Republican Party. To the attention of Bren Stepp, she is now the Central Committee chair. It used to be Justin Levitt not all that long ago. But he, some time ago, stepped down from that position. So at that meeting, I presume on the 13th, we will have a new prosecutor picked, and as soon as that person, he or she, is chosen, I don't know whether it'll be immediate or there's a waiting period to have to be sworn into office. I'm not sure how that timeline will work, but that person will step into Justin Levitt's shoes pretty quickly.
Okay.
All right. Now, as a matter of convenience, there's another position the Republican Party has to fill, so they're going to have another piece of business that night. Technically, it's a different meeting because this time the executive committee of the Republican Party is legally charged with filling the vacancy. Actually, there's not a vacancy. It is an appointment that comes up every 4 years. That is one of the positions on the Jackson County Board of Elections. there are 4 members of each boards of elections in the state of Ohio, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. The way it works, the Republican committee and the Democratic committee in Jackson County and in any county, every 4 years has to appoint somebody. But technically, it's not an appointment, it's a recommendation, because the Secretary of State, who is Republican Frank LaRose, has to actually make the appointment.
Okay.
In practice, they normally approve anybody that the local parties want, but technically it is a recommendation. In Jackson County, Kaida Newell is about ready to complete her first 4-year term as one of the boards of elections members.
Okay.
So I don't know whether she is interested in continuing or not, but she and anyone else have the opportunity, who are qualified. You have to be from Jackson County, be a Republican, be a registered voter, those things for sure.
Yep.
You can seek this position. That is going to be chosen also 6:30 p.m. January 13th,
Okay.
Friday, January 13th at the Republican headquarters. They'll do one and then they'll do the other. The executive committee has all the central committee plus some others on it. And it's just, why it's the central committee or the executive committee, I can't. Sometimes they both vote at the same time. But anyway, any qualified person who wants to be considered for the vacancy, because it will technically become vacant March the 1st.
Okay.
Kaida and anyone else can step up and be considered for the vacancy. They also are asked to mail a letter of intent and a resume no later than January 13th. In this case, they should mail it to the Jackson County Republican Party, Post Office Box 271, just like it was with the prosecutor. But in this case, Donnie Willis, who is Jackson County Commissioner, he is the executive committee chair. So
Okay.
it should be sent to his attention. Any qualified person seeking the vacancy is invited and urged to attend this meeting, because they will give an opportunity to stand up and say, introduce themselves and say why they want the appointment. So some very important business to be taken by the Jackson County Republican Party
Very much
leadership on January the 13th.
Yes.
All right. It seems like, when the weather gets cold and around the holidays, there's always some tragedy to talk about. And we had one on New Year's Day. Don't have full information. I cannot give you a name, but there was a fire in Cole Township on Glenroy Road in the early morning hours, the 800 block of Glenroy Road, at 7:13 a.m. The resident was not home at the time, and a fire hit. It was fully engulfed in flames before the firefighters got there. But the Colton Fire Department, the Wellston Fire Department, the Jackson Fire Department, the Hamden Fire Department all did their best, but the home was considered to be a total loss, the structure and the contents. No cause right now is known. The State Fire Marshal's office, since there is unknowns involved, was called in to investigate to see if they could determine about the fire. But once again, the only good thing about it is nobody was hurt. But the firefighters were out on New Year's Day in the early morning hours for about 5 hours fighting that fire.
Wow.
So, and the Colton Fire Department, earlier, I wasn't even going to mention this, but I am now because of that fire. They had 3 other fires that were very important fires in the period from December 23rd through December 27th. And then there they are back on New Year's Day. All 3 of these fires, that were 2 in Cole Township, 1 in the village of Colton, all of them involved major damage of a structure. And each time, they were out a number of hours with multiple fire departments. Yeah. So, once again, this is not a vacation for them. This is their job.
Absolutely
and
not.
Remember,
yeah.
I'm going to continue to hit this. Most of these guys and girls, some girls even, they don't work for much money or
they're strictly volunteers.
Exactly. And so, you can't thank those people
Correct.
enough. So, what else do we want to talk about? In the city of Jackson, we'll talk about to finally get some good news. At the last Jackson
Thanks,
City,
Pete.
yeah, right. At the last Jackson City Council meeting, Mayor Randy Evans was able to announce some very, very good news. We have already told you that there's some major projects to improve services in the Mill Street area. They're on the north side of town. You're talking about putting in sanitary sewer lines where there have been none in the past.
Correct.
You're talking about putting in replacement water lines to replace old, inefficient water lines. This was a picture that our Jeremiah Shaver took over the weekend. They're already laying some of the pipe in there to start construction. Construction should start very soon. That's good news, but the really new news that is good news is that at the council meeting, Randy Evans was able to announce that the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency has notified the city that they will qualify for a $1.5 million grant to replace even more sanitary sewer lines in the Mill Street area. Not only, it was already going to be a big project, now they'll be able to do more. That's $1.5 million. And Mayor Evans was not really expecting that. And this is in addition to what has already been budgeted and planned as far as water and sewer there.
That's awesome.
So very, very good news there. Some other good news came in the form of 3 major, what they call brownfield grants coming to Jackson County.
Okay.
This was announced by Governor DeWine just before Christmas. And brownfield is the governmental term that they use to describe a situation where you have property that is unused, possibly contaminated because of pollutants or whatever.
Okay.
And the idea is, let's clean it up, and that's good in and of itself. But the second thing is that property, particularly if it's in a strategic place, can be maybe redeveloped.
Kind of like the Meridian plant,
commercially or whatever,
like
right? But it's what
happened
happened at the Meridian site not all that long ago, and now the state is funneling $88 million across the state for a new series of brownfield grants. This does not include these demolition projects that are going on now that we've already talked about. A lot of those are going on in Jackson and Benton counties. These are brownfield grants to get rid of contamination in three different sites. One in Jackson County, 2 in Benton County.
Okay.
In Jackson County, the Jackson County Engineer's Office. You know, Jennifer, you're a local. You drive by there on 35 and you look over and you see that big old white building that's rusty and all. Well, that building is used for storage. That's all. It used to be many years ago. I didn't know this until this news release came out. Until 1952, that was the Ohio Fuel Gas Company, where the Jackson County Engineer's Office is now. I'm sure people are very familiar with that building. That building is, except for storage, is largely unused. There are possible contaminants involved there, and with another very small building that is next to it. This brownfield grant, $262,715, will allow for the demolition of this building, as well as the smaller building next to it. And then Jackson County engineer Melissa Miller tells me, this was not in the release, but I did some follow-up work. She says the idea is to build a new building on that site that will be far more efficient and useful.
Great.
Right now they put signs and things in there, but with this new building and with asbestos and any other contaminants that might have been associated with the former use of the site before the engineer's office was there, they'll be able to put equipment and vehicles in there, including some vehicles and equipment that are in the elements now.
Gotcha.
So that will be very nice for the engineer's office. Locally, the Jackson County Economic Development Partnership was actually awarded that money, but it will be going for that demolition and decontaminant work at the engineer's office there on Clary Road, east of Jackson. As you drive that direction, you can see it from the highway 35. There are 2 projects in Benton County that received money as well. One is called the Deskins Redevelopment Project. It is the former home of Hamden Gas and Oil. It is in Hamden. There it is. That site has been vacant for some time, even though you can still see the inscription there, Hamden Gas and Oil.
That's so interesting. I just drove by there the other day, and I was like, I wonder what's happening with this spot.
Right. Well,
we just had that conversation.
For Hamden, it's in a nice spot right there along the highway. But anytime you have a place where there's been a gas station, you have the issues, the underground tanks, the gasoline, the oil that might be in the soil, and so forth. So the Deskins Redevelopment Project in Benton County will get $123,439 for assessment. This isn't even for demolition. This is through assessment. The site is vacant, and assessment is needed before the site can be redeveloped. Program funds will assist with a geophysical survey and asbestos survey of the property. After assessment and any needed remediation, the site is intended to be put up for redevelopment. Red Thompson says that the Hamden Mayor and the Hamden Village Council feel there is potential for this property if they can make it marketable again. So that's one. The other is the Hammond Hardware property, which, of course, Steve and Melissa Hammond, there is the main building there right in front. They've done a great job bringing that business back to life. The longtime site of Souders Hardware. Great credit to Don and Lois Souders for keeping that business going as long as they did. An old-fashioned hardware store it was, and still is, with some new twists in there with the creativity of Melissa there.
Some neat stuff,
But anyway, they have received a redevelopment grant too, $148,000, once again for an assessment of a site that operated as a hardware store and boat repair shop for 50 years. The site was vacant for nearly 20 years before the Hammonds purchased it in 2020. The two buildings on the property, including the big one right there you're looking at, are in good condition. However, on the site, environmental contamination is suspected. The Brownfield Remediation Program will assist with an environmental assessment. After assessment, the property will be available for redevelopment. So I'm not exactly sure what part of the property is involved in there. Obviously, the Hammonds are able to safely operate, a very viable business there in that hardware store now, but this will be better for the entire property. And keep in mind how expensive things are. The Vinton County projects are assessments only.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about some pretty technical engineering stuff that will be going on at those two sites, but the money is there, and that is a first step.
I do remember Souders having the boats for sale there. There's a little lot beside there, and then fixing them as well.
Right.
I remember that, driving down through there and thinking that was so cool that there were boats there for sale.
Right.
Like,
I remember
in the
them.
middle of Hamden.
I remember them being on that lot for some time.
Yep.
I remember, I'm not sure how many years ago, they fly by so quick. I bet you at least 30 or 40 years ago when I was younger, I remember my father-in-law looking for boat parts and like that up there. He says that's where you go.
Yeah.
They're up there. So,
Who knew?
And, more of that property may be able to come alive again.
That's great.
So it's a two-sided thing. It's cleaning up a property if it needs it, and then putting it in a position where it can be used for so much more, including some new things.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Another good thing. We're still catching up, good versus bad. Jim Slone. You know who Jim Slone is?
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
He is Mr. Oak Hill. He is one of the ones who could qualify for that title.
Okay.
He has been a teacher, educator, administrator, maybe most of all a coach in the Oak Hill School District for 34 years.
Gotcha.
And he is retiring. One of his last jobs was being an assistant coach for the boys basketball team. And the way his retirement works, it took effect right at the end of the calendar year.
Okay.
And so at the Thursday night, December 29th basketball game, they introduced Jim Slone. There he is, Red Thompson there. We knew it was going to happen, took the video. He was introduced, and I mean, instantly everybody stood up and gave him a standing ovation. Nickname is Jimbo, and they think so much of him that that one of the stores in Oak Hill, Hometown Sports and More, I think it is, has come up with a T-shirt. And they're already selling. It's got Jimbo's picture on it.
That's great.
But Red did a nice interview with Jim. We're going to have that story in Wednesday's paper, along with some pictures. There's a video that is already posted on the Telegram as well. I believe that our story on Jim Slone, if it's not on the website this morning, it will be before the end of the morning. We'll be putting that on as well, so you can take a look at that. Of course, a lot of coverage in tomorrow's print edition as well. But, I go back a long way too, and I've worked with Jim Slone on this and that, and he is just so well liked in the Oak Hill area.
That's awesome.
Just a down-home person, no pretentiousness at all about him, even though he has achieved a lot in his time. He's had some businesses in Oak Hill. In addition to the coaching, he was the fiscal officer a while for the Village of Oak Hill. He was fiscal officer for Jefferson Township for a while. Just an all-around good guy. His late father, Jim Slone, was well known in Jackson County too, in Democratic politics. He was with the elections office for quite some time as well. And Jim, I'll date myself. Jim Slone was one of the best athletes to come out of Oak Hill High School, without a doubt.
That's awesome.
He played all the sports, and he was just very good. And What he said in the interview with Red was that he had opportunities to leave Oak Hill and never thought about doing it if he could find a way to stay. And how did he do that? By being involved in the schools as a coach,
great.
as a teacher, and so forth. And he never second-guessed that decision. So congratulations to Jim Slone on his career. All right. Also, speaking of the Colton Fire Department, since we brought up all the work they're doing, we should announce that they have new leadership. What a way to start being the chief and assistant chief.
Oh, my
Can
goodness.
you imagine? Okay, that is Brandon Gilliland right there. He is the new assistant chief. And at a recent Colton Village Council meeting, he was sworn into office as the new assistant chief. Johnny Baker, who had been the assistant chief, was sworn in as the new fire chief. Johnny will replace Chris Brown, who had been with the fire department for nearly 20 years and had been the chief for maybe close to 10.
Okay.
And that's Johnny now that James has put up there. And that's Brandon sitting beside him. They were both sworn in at the same council meeting. On the left, you see Colton Mayor Kim Milliken actually swearing Johnny in that particular picture. But Chris Brown, he deserves some kudos as well. He was chief for a long time there, but due to health reasons, his work on the family farm, and now his employment is in Columbus, it's just too hard for him to do what he thinks he needs to do
Makes
as
sense.
chief. So he is stepping down, and the good news in there is that they've got two very experienced firefighters to step up and take Chris's place in Johnny Baker, assistant chief to chief, and Brandon Gillen, veteran firefighter to assistant chief. And, trying to get information from them about the fires, they were so cooperative. They've had to work so hard. They have other jobs too, of course. You have to. So I certainly do appreciate both of them and wish them the best of luck. All right. Speaking of dedicated people, how about Dave Channel? Now, we've had Dave Channel on TV many times.
Yes.
I think we all know all that he does. Maybe people out there don't know all that he does. But Dave Channel, this year, he has now passed the 50-year mark of service with the Jackson Fire Department.
Holy moly.
Can you believe that? I
No.
mean, that is a young man's job, or a middle-aged man's job. But Dave is still doing it. He started when he was a senior in high school. In recent years, he's been the chief. He has stayed with it. Of course, I'm a contemporary of Dave Channel. I graduated with him at 1973 at Jackson High School. And I think that you know him well enough than just being on TV, his whole manner. He is just Dave. I mean, he treats everybody the same. He treats everybody fairly. He does everything he can to help others. He goes far and beyond just being a good fire chief. He does things in the community. The Jackson Fire Department, has lost some people off their roster at one time up to 18, and now they went to as low as 6, dangerously low figure on there.
Very much.
It's built back up to 12 now. And I don't know this, but I'm thinking that, it would have been easy for Dave to bail.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a derogatory term. After all those years and all that responsibility and pressure that would be on in an undermanned fire department or temporarily undermanned fire department, he stuck with it. They still do Pig Iron Day. They still do the fundraising drives for the fireworks, not just the 4th of July, but the Christmas.
Now the Christmas as well.
And, Dave, not only is the fire chief, he is the one that is behind those events that the Firefighters Association does. And he is usually the one in the county fire system who is spearheading the charity drives when they do them, the collections and so forth. He was involved certainly in the collection for Ryan Foster's family after Ryan's death. So congratulations to Dave Channel. I wrote a column about him.
Awesome.
He deserves all the attention that he can get. To my knowledge, he's not going to retire soon. But, if he does, man, he more than deserves it.
He deserves it, yep.
All right. So what else can we tell you? I want to take my hat off to Red Thompson Jr. on this. He did 2 articles that were in the last 2 papers, and they were rundowns of 2022. I mean, he had to go back and do a lot of research, use his memory, look at old pictures.
Yeah.
We didn't even do this on the Jackson County side because it was such a lot of work, but he did it on the Vinton County side. He picked out the major events of 2022, recap them. That's kind of what you do. You look back at the old year as it ends, then a little bit of perspective on where it stands going into the new year. That was a great piece of work by Red Thompson Jr., and he never surprises me when he goes to extra efforts to make our paper the best that it can be.
That's right.
Speaking of Vinton County, another underappreciated job that's very important is the county dog warden.
Very much.
They're looking for one in Vinton County now. Not exactly sure how the vacancy came about, but the commissioners have announced that they need to fill an empty dog warden position. Interested applicants should submit them to the commissioner's office in Vinton County at the courthouse as soon as possible. They will be interviewing qualified applicants very soon. The commissioners, I think, had their first meeting this morning, so they are probably addressing that as well. Also, speaking of Vinton County, Belicio Foods is doing open interviews in Vinton County, hoping to recruit some Vinton County employees. They're always, as you know, looking for employees and sweetening the pot, as it were, to attract employees with nice bonuses and starting salaries. But they will
health clinic.
Right. But they will be at the Herbert Westcote Memorial Library in MacArthur this Thursday, just 2 days from now, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. to accept applications and speak to those who possibly interested in jobs. The library's at 120 South Market Street in MacArthur. Also, the Hope United Methodist Church, they do this every month, but it's such a nice thing, so I want to mention it. They will do a free community dinner this Wednesday from January 5 to 6:30 p.m. Chicken, spaghetti, green beans, breadstick, dessert, and drink at a beautiful price, $0.
What?
And this is just not for, folks that are hungry. This is for anybody. It's a community thing. It's a coming together type thing.
That's awesome.
They do this the first and third Wednesdays of every month. Sometimes it's a lunch, sometimes it's a dinner, and they are so accommodating that they will even do carry out as well as dine in. And for delivery service, if you set it up in advance, just call 384-2663. That church is located at the corner of First and New York Avenue in Wilson. So congratulations to them.
That's awesome.
We'll catch up on more on Thursday.
Well, very good,
We
Pete.
let me pile it up there while you were off in Florida.
Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate all your hard work as well. And as I said, you never get a break.
Well, I tell you what, it means everything when you like what you do and they let you do it. So.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. It's good to be back, and hopefully we can get this rain pushed out of here. And
okay, boy, it's been a lot. I was told the water is up here at the usual places in Jackson.
Correct. And here's the thing. Here's my preach. Don't cross water if you don't know how deep it is.
No.
Don't drive through it. Don't walk through it. It can be very dangerous.
No, do not do it. Just find another way.
Nowhere that you have to be is that important.
Don't take a chance.
No, absolutely not. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. We will be back here tomorrow and maybe catch up on some of the things that we've been doing the past week or so. So have a great day, and we'll see you then.
This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website,
thetelegrammnews.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Benton counties and surrounding areas.
Locally owned and operated, thetelegrammnews.com has its finger on the pulse of the community.
Stay up to date on local events, high school sports, and breaking news.
thetelegrammnews.com.
Subscribe today at thetelegrammnews.com.
Check it out.